Chris is next up. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Better than I deserve. What's
Excellent.
up?
So as you're aware, the Total Money Makeover was published in 2003. And I'm sure you're also aware that the first baby step is to save $1,000 starter emergency fund. So my question, since the book has been released for 20 years, and with the current dramatic rise in inflation, do you still feel $1,000 is the correct amount to start to be successful with your plan?
$1,000 was not enough in 2003. It was never designed to be enough. It's enough to buy an alternator for a car, or a tire, maybe one or two. It's enough to take your kid to the pediatrician if they're sick, but it's not enough to be a real emergency fund. It's enough to keep the little things from kicking your butt off the get-out-of-debt wagon. Because when we first started this stuff years ago, I said, use all your savings, have zero. And that didn't work, honestly. If you had come to Financial Peace University when I was teaching it with an overhead projector, before we had the baby steps, I just was hardcore. Just, like you're in boot camp. Shut up, sell everything, use all your money, don't whine, get your butt out of debt. Because if you don't get out of debt, none of this is going to work. But we discovered pretty quickly that every little thing that came along that wasn't in their little budget the first few months, knock them out, and then they would give up hope. The people in Financial Peace would give up hope because they couldn't do the system. The system wasn't working. So we decided, okay, we're going to give you just a little bit of a beginner starter emergency fund just to knock the little stuff off. If you have a car transmission go out, it's not enough. If you have something big happen, it's not enough. It's not designed to be enough. It's just there and to cover while you go through typically it's about 18 months. Out of the 10 million people that have been through Financial Peace University, it's 18 months to get out of debt, not counting your house, baby step 2. Now that means some of them do it in 3 months and some of them do it in 30, but the average is 18. So it's designed just to keep the little crap away, but if your car blows up during that 18 months, it's not enough. And it never was designed to be enough. So it doesn't need to be inflation adjusted because it wasn't supposed to be enough. But good question. Thank you, sir.
I just want to say something very quick about inflation because that's all we hear about. It makes you click, and that's what the media is supposed to do. But understand that the reason why inflation is stubborn, folks, is now wage pressures. And that's fancy economic language that I barely understand. But it means that hourly rates and salaries are at an all-time high. And the reason why your Burger King combo or your bread costs more is because they're paying the person in those positions at Burger King and the grocery store more. So when I hear that question, I think it's a good question, but let's also understand that we, the people, still have tremendous individual responsibility and power to see in this economy where we have about 4.5 million more jobs available than there are people who are unemployed. And right now, in the gig economy, which means I go out and do something part-time, and freelance economy, there is more opportunity to make really good money. So if you're gazelle intense and that $1,000 isn't enough, you go make you some more money and pay for that alternator. You can go make plenty of money in this economy right now.
That's a great point, Ken. And on top of that, Ken makes a great point. People don't think about, okay, let's walk through that worst case scenario. You have an emergency that's more than $1,000. What do? We tell you to pause the baby steps and stack up cash really quickly. And most people doing the plan, they didn't have much more than $1,000 to begin with. And so this hypothetical scenario where they had so much money and could cover all these emergencies, it just doesn't exist. If we made the emergency fund in baby step 1 $5,000, we would have a tiny portion of the population be able to do that and have the hope and motivation to continue.
Yeah. But Chris's question, if you were going to say the plan is, let's say we got to baby step 3, and instead of saying 3 to 6 months of expenses, we said $10,000 or $15,000 in 2003. Now today, would we need to say, okay, that's not correct anymore? We would need to adjust it because it's not enough. If it was enough in 2003 to have a $15,000 baby step 3, it's not enough in 2023. So his concept is valid, but it doesn't apply to baby step 1. And the good news is that the other baby steps are not fixed amounts. That's the only one that's a fixed amount. The rest of them are percentages. And so they flow out of that percentage, and the percentages will adjust with inflation and with wage pressures and with everything else. So, okay, $1 million isn't what it used to be in your retirement account. True. But $1 million is just a milestone. It wasn't the only target. We said put 15% away in baby step 4, and hopefully 10 million is what you get. So it's adjusted that way. And so 3 to 6 months of expenses. Your expenses have changed since 2003. They should have, yeah. And so your emergency fund would need to be bigger today, your baby step 3 one. So his concept is accurate in questioning a fixed number from 2003, but it also gives me the opportunity to explain that baby step 1 wasn't ever designed to be that in the first place. Because I get that, some of these idiots on TikTok or whatever that are, Dave Ramsey doesn't know what he's talking about. His stuff's outdated. Yeah, that's right. It's out. The law of gravity is now outdated. So,
but Dave, you've told people on air before. Have you tweaked that $1,000 number based on a very specific situation, where you went, all right, fine, you can do 1,500, you could do 500.
You know what?
What are the scenarios?
The other thing I realize is that this didn't. None of these baby steps came from the Bible. They came from our experiences of coaching thousands of people, and so they're not absolute truth in that sense. They're based on concepts that are absolute truth, but they're not. The baby steps themselves are not magical. All they are is a clear path, and everybody needs a clear path to do whatever they're going to do. Ken teaches a clear path to get into a new position and a step-by-step process. You've got to have a clear path. If you get ready to go to college and you want to graduate, there's a clear path. It's called a syllabus. Take the freaking classes, get the degree. There's a clear path. You know what you have to do to get there. And so winning always involves a clear path and a process. So that part, and I'm aware, George, that somebody's going to decide to do whatever they want to do because they're like grown-ups and stuff. But I'm not going to vary on the air, because every time we vary on the air, we not only vary for that single person that we're talking to, but 22 million other people are listening. And so then you start to blow up the whole idea. And the beauty of the baby steps of the clear path, including the one that Ken uses, is we don't vary from it, because and then people start to believe it because it's a proven path. It's a proven system. And if you submit yourself to a proven system, then you can hit those goals. So it's a really good discussion.
Well, everyone thinks they're special. Everyone thinks they're unique. They're the outlier. Like, well, Dave, you don't understand my situation.
You are, but that doesn't exclude you from the law of gravity.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm special. You're going to hit the sidewalk. Shut up. It's like, that's it. You're special, but you're not. That we all are. You're unique. You have unique situations, and that's what makes the show interesting. People calling in with unique family life and unique situations. You're going, that's cray. It's entertaining. But the principles that we guide our lives by, like you all told the young guy there, be sure you apologize early and often. That's a great principle. Okay. Does it apply every single time? No, I don't need to apologize to my wife if she runs over me with a car. It's her fault, That
was a very specific scenario, Dave.
I know, but I'm just trying to think of something bizarre, right? Somebody misbehaving, but is apologizing a good principle? You bet it is. Quickly, early, and often? You bet it is. It's a sign of strength, of confidence, of humility. It's weak people that can't apologize. It requires courage. So those are simple things, but these simple concepts do apply universally. This is The Ramsey Show.